Here we are, triangle congruency, SAS, okay? So, before we get started on these, remember, now we're to the point where we know two rules. We know side, side, side. So if we have three sides that are congruent, and we can see all three sides are congruent, so it could look like two triangles like this, or remember, it could be two triangles that are connected with a side, so it'd be like this. And we know that they share a side, so that would be the third side. We can say they're congruent by that. Okay, so that's the rule we already know. Now, we're talking about a second rule called side angle side. So for this one, the order matters. So we've got two sides, doesn't matter which two sides, and the angle in between. Okay, so what we mean by angle in between is that those two sides together form that angle. Okay, that's the one we're talking about. So it's not like this. It's not two sides and an angle. That angle isn't in between. Okay, it's got to be the angle touching both sides. Okay, now there's one other thing similar to that other case. Okay, there you're going to run into this problem where you have two triangles that are joined at one of their vertexes. Okay, so when we get that, okay, it forms kind of an X. Okay, and this is called a vertical angle. In a vertical angle, the angles opposite are congruent. Okay, so these two would be congruent, and the purple two would be congruent across the way. So they may do something like this and ask you if that's congruent. Okay, well, we've got two sides. Do we have the angle in between? It doesn't show up, but because it's a vertical angle, we know that it is. So we say yes by side angle side. Okay, so we could be using these two rules to solve our problems. Okay, so first one. Okay, as always, we look. Got two sides. Two sides. Is the angle in between? Yes, it is. So yes, these are congruent because of side angle side. Okay, number two. Now we've got that vertical angle. So that right angle there is the same right angle on the other side. So we've got two sides. And do we have the angle? And is it in between? Yeah. So yes, by side angle side. Okay, number three. Now we've got two angles, okay, because I have two marks. So we've got an angle, and we've got one shared side, so we got a side. Do we have anything else? There's no other information that would let us say if something is congruent, so the answer is no, not congruent. If we look at number four, we've got one side, we've got an angle, so a side and an angle, and they share a side, so we've got a third side. Okay, and it matches up that they're sides with the angle in between, so yes, because of side angle side. Okay, number five, I've got two sides. Do I have an angle? Nope, two sides doesn't work. I don't have another side or another angle. I either needed this angle to be congruent or this side to be congruent for it to work. Because I didn't, we have to write no. Number six, we share a side here. Okay, so I've got a side. Do I have an angle in between? Yep, it's that angle in between the two sides, so yes, by side angle side. Okay, I look at number seven. I've got that vertical angle, so that tells me that those angles are congruent, so a side, two sides, and the angles in between. So yes, by side angle side. Number eight, we share a side. Okay, and we've got an angle, and we've got another side, so you're probably going to say, yeah, by side angle side, but let's hold the phone here. Okay, so we've shared that side, right? So on the bottom triangle, we have the sides and the angle in between, but look at the top. The top we have a side, and this angle isn't in between. Okay, it would have to be that angle for it to work, so the answer is actually no. Okay, number 9, we share a side. Okay, we've got the other side. Is the angle in between? Yep, on both, so yes, by side, angle, side. Number 10, we've got a vertical angle here. So I know those angles are congruent. On this triangle, it's in between. But look at this, we've got two sides, and the angle isn't in between. It'd have to be that angle. So no, not congruent. Okay, number 11. We share that side, but notice that that angle isn't in between the two sides, so it would be no again. 12, we've got one side, two sides, and they share a side. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yes, by side, side, side. Okay, 13, we share a side. It looks a lot like 11, but notice now, okay, we've got the angles in between the two sides, so yes, by side, angle, side. Okay, number 14, we've got two sides and an angle in between, two sides and an angle in between, so yes, by side, angle, side. 15, that one should be really easy. 1, 2, 3 sides, 1, 2, 3 sides, yes, by side, side, side. Number 16, looks right, but notice that that angle isn't in between. It would have to be that angle, so no. Alright, there we go on those ones. Now let's take a look at these last ones. Now they want us to put the information that we still need to make it to work. So they're going to give us two pieces, and what rule they want to use, we've got to find the third. So, number 17, side, angle, side. We've got a side, we've got an angle. Oops. So now we need that third side. So now it matters, right? Because it could be this side, or it could be this side. But which would have the angle in between? It would have to be that side, KL. On the other one, it could be SU or UT. Okay, it's got to be the one touching that angle. So it's got to be, oops, that side and that side. So side KL has to be congruent to side TU. Okay, 18, side, angle, side again. Now we've got that X, so we've got a vertical angle, so that's already there. So we've got an angle. We've also got that side, so we need the other side opposite, which is going to have to be those two sides. So ML has to be congruent to LT. Okay, 19. We've got an angle and a side, angle and a side, so it's got to be that other side. So side BC would have to be congruent to GH. Okay, 20. We share a side, so that one already counts. We've got an angle, so it's got to be that other side KC with KJ. Alright, 21. We've got two sides, so now we need the angle in between. So that angle has to touch both, so it should be pretty easy to see. It's going to be angle W has to be congruent to angle H. For 22, we share a side, so we've already got that side. We've got the other side, okay, so it needs to be the angle, and it's got to be in between. So it's got to touch both. Now, we can't just write angle X is congruent to angle X, because that doesn't tell us which angles we're dealing with. So instead, we think angle Y, X, W with angle S, X, W. That's how we need to write it for those ones. Okay, now 22, 23, shifting gears, three sides. We've got two of them, should be pretty easy, got to be that third side. So FH has to be congruent to KM. 24, back to side, angle, side. Got two sides again, so we're just missing that angle. So it's got to be angle B with J, because they're the angles that touch those two sides. 25, side, angle, side again. Two sides. It's got to be that angle in between, W and K. And then the last one, Side, side, side. We share a side, so that doesn't count. We got the other side, so it has to be that third side. AH to HW. Alright, there we go, guys.